It's time once again to slip into your camo, grab your gun, and join us out in the field for another episode of the Up North Journal with your host, Mike Adams, and his son, the other Mike Adams. They're locked, loaded, and ready for another exciting episode. So let's step outside and hit the trail.
All right, well, we're back again this week. Episode 67, Michael. Rocking along right in the middle of summer. Big, huge weekend here at the Up North Journal.
Very big.
I don't know if I'm quite recovered yet from all the fun we've had. I'm wore out and I'm tired, but you know what? Are you
supposed to recover from fun?
I don't know. I guess so. I hope so.
Yeah.
But I would like to remind everybody we are part of the Outdoor Radio Network. Go over there and check out the other outdoor-related podcasts if you like. There's quite a few of them over there. And we are also on MichiganHuntingToday.com. That's a website that I write for under the name Hooks and Bullets. Go over there and check it out. And we're also on My Outdoor TV for you guys who have been checking us out over there and kind of found the show and found your way over to the regular website. Remember, you can subscribe to the show through iTunes or go directly to our website, upnorthjournal.com. And click on the link there. It'll take you to our regular podcast page where you can subscribe that way. So,
yep.
And we're also over at myhuntingandfishing.com over there. So I mean, we're everywhere. We're kind of all over the net, so to speak. But back to this weekend, man. I am so wore out. I'm tired. We had fun. As everybody knows, if you've been listening to the show, if you've been reading the blogs, this was the big weekend, man. This was our kickoff to our big Broadhead Test, and we also presented all the bows to the kids for the youth compound bow review that we're going to do. So we had a lot of stuff going on, and I want to kind of just start back towards the beginning of the week and some of the things that we did to get ready, and just a little overview of things that we did. So one thing I kind of did today that really surprised me or shocked me was I went out back and checked the trail camera that we've got out behind the house here in the field. The whole thing was full. I mean, I got a 1 gig memory chip in that thing, and I'm thinking, well, man, there must have been a lot of activity. It took 1,823 pictures in the last month. I had 5 pictures of stuff to keep. I don't know why, but it just sat there and triggered and kept going off, taking pictures of
Probably
nothing.
because of the weeds.
I don't know. You know, it's supposed to be infrared, and I can't for the life of me figure out why it was taking all those pictures. But I got a cool picture of a hawk coming down into the field with its wings out like it was in mid-flight. That was kind of cool, like it was getting ready to pounce on something. And I caught another bird coming into the tree, so big whoopie-doo. So
yeah. What were the other 3?
Of the same bird, big whoopie-doo. Oh. So, but yeah, you know, that was a waste of a good half hour today of doing nothing. And I want to go over an observation, just a generalization, something that you mentioned to me last week about people driving in cars. Hunters versus non-hunters. Well, go ahead and tell everybody.
Well, I noticed, like, every time we're driving somewhere, every time we go by a field or open space, you always look out there for animals. And whenever I'm riding with a friend or something, I'm always looking out, and they're just driving. They're like, what are you doing? And just, they're not hunters.
So you're saying that non-hunters just stare ahead and drive, and they don't pay attention to their surroundings, and hunters are always looking in the fields for wild game.
I guess that means hunters are better drivers.
Well, I don't know if we're better driving. Our eyes aren't on the road all the time, I guess is what you're saying. We're paying attention to the
surroundings.
Okay. Maybe that's the reason we don't. Well, I can't say we don't hit game in the road because I hit a deer 2 years ago.
No, the deer hit us.
Well, actually, yeah, the deer come up and hit the side of the truck. So, but yeah, it was an interesting observation I thought that we ought to pass along that you made, and I found interesting. So, but talking about this week, getting ready for everything, the anticipation coming up, and actually a lot of worry on my part, worrying that we're going to get it all together, get all of our ducks in a row, so to speak, get all of our supplies, and actually pull this thing off with some consistency and a little bit of professionalism and some good statistics to show for our efforts. And it all worked out. It all worked out pretty good. And we'll go over a little more of the actual results here at the end of the show. But leading up into the week, getting ready for everything, I'd like to extend a big, humongous thank you to Compass Outdoors. They graciously opened their doors and allowed us to come in and shoot in a controlled environment. Actually, it wasn't too hard to twist their arm to let us in. Matt Woodbury over there, we kind of got him into the shooting with us. So I wasn't feeling the greatest that day. I had a muscle strain, and I did shoot a little, but I let him step to the plate and take over. I was running camera and kind of directing things a little bit, so he was happy to step in and do some shooting. It doesn't take much to ask a guy to shoot and them step in and help you out. Yeah. They're always glad to. But I just wanted to really say thank you to Compass Outdoors. And with that being said, I did an interview with Matt Woodbury and Randy Weaver this week, 2 of the 4 guys who head up Compass. And I did a little on-camera interview, but here's kind of what we talked about this week. So just take a quick listen. Mike Adams here, the Up North Journal today, sitting with Matt Woodbury and Randy Weaver of Compass Outdoors, and just want to sit down and talk to you today about your bow range here, Compass Outdoors. It's new in the area here in Flint, Michigan. Where did the idea come from?
Well, me and Randy's been friends for a while, and Randy came up with sort of like a website for sportsmen and stuff, and we just, he got a new job and left, and my pastor wanted to try to increase the outreach around here, so I came up with the idea of a Bible study, and he offered to give me a warehouse. So first person I called was Randy, and we just went from there.
Okay, so you're using this as an outreach for the church, but it's also a place where you invite the public in.
Oh, yeah. We would like to have Christians become outdoorsmen and outdoorsmen to become Christians.
Twofold.
Kind of bridge the gap.
Okay. What does it take to get a bow range started? I mean, I shoot in my backyard. And, anybody can shoot in their backyard, but, when you got a 3D course here, number one, and you got bag targets and things like that. But what does it take for 2 guys to start an archery range? I mean, what did you have to do? What are some of the obstacles you had to overcome?
A lot of patience, a lot of prayers. Not to get too religious or anything, but it was a big blessing. Whenever we faced an obstacle and started getting impatient, God would knock that door down. And the insurance was a big part. We had to come up with $600.
Okay.
And we didn't know where it was coming, and it came.
And it was there at the right time.
Yeah.
Okay. And everything's come at the right time.
Yeah.
I think a big part of all that is our faith list that we make.
Mm-hmm.
We write down all the stuff that we want God to give us, stuff that we need, stuff that we want. Some are bigger, some are smaller, and some are down the road that we know and stuff like that. And it's just amazing that the different things that we put on the list, and then the people that have come and the people that have gave us stuff that you wouldn't have thought that's where that would come from. But then this guy shows up and they're like, oh, I have this, or oh, I have this. And then you look on your list and it's the stuff that's been on the list, or
you start crossing things off
6 months ago or whatever, and there it is. And we've already had, I think, almost 2 faith lists filled up, and we're working on like our 3rd one, stuff that people give us and things like that, without even just their steps are ordered to do that. Just same as the Up North Journal, I think, finding
it was meant to be.
It was all right. The guy from the Wilderness Journal found our, we're only on a couple of places on the web right now, and for that person to find it, it's just kind of amazing how that works. Certain people are supposed to find it, and they do.
The network is starting to build and to grow. The people who are meant to find it are starting to find it. What I like is the area here that you're in. People are like, oh, you're in that part of Flint. Well, that's where the ministry needs to be.
Mm-hmm. And it's centrally located too.
It is. It really is in the county. Or even in Flint itself. It's
almost
easy to get
Michigan,
to.
Because it's the same thing as living where I live. It's by 75, it's by 69, it's by 475. It's almost anywhere. You can come from there if you want. It's off every major expressway.
Come from Miami if you want.
Right?
Yeah.
Not too far, So as long as, you can hit those expressways, you're right there.
Right. When you first developed the whole idea of having a range to right now, what kind of time frame are you talking before you actually got up and running and shooting?
It was about 6-7 months.
Yeah, from when he called me up one day, because like you said, we've been working and we talked a lot about God at work and stuff like that, and I had been dabbling. I've always been dabbling with the fact of starting a sportsman's website of some sort. So he had called me one day and told me that he had got this range or whatever. So I come up here, and he started out with this little tripod thing that he had set up out of PVC with a couple banners of the companies that first started, and a deer target or whatever, and that's pretty much it. And
now you got a full-fledged 3D range.
Right. We're working on right now. We got like 5 3D targets, but I think here shortly, within the next month, we're probably going to have 8.
Looking back at where you've came in the last 6-7 months, what was the one thing that God provided you that just totally blew you away?
What really impressed me was Brent Lakewater from the Wilderness Journal emailing me. I watched the show. I either TVR or whatever it's called. Mm-hmm. He emailed me and saying, we were doing great work and stuff, and I'm like, no, this is a joke. And I emailed him back, and we're doing a wild game dinner for my brother, helping him out because their minister left, and he was kind of short. And Brett said, you're doing great. Whatever I can do to help, let me know. I'm like, all right. So I emailed him back, and I told him they needed a speaker, and he volunteered for it, and we've been friends ever since.
That's cool.
Awesome guy. I just wish he lived close.
Now, he's their
cameraman
for the Wilderness Journal. Yeah. Okay. I actually seen him on a couple of hunts before,
yeah,
where they turn the camera around on him, you know.
And he's very pleasant. He's very humble. He's just a great Christian.
Nice guy. He's one of the only ones that he actually comes on our forum because we haven't really promoted that yet on our website to get people. That was another way to get people to come to the site,
I actually didn't know you had a forum.
Yeah.
And I've been coming up here for over a month now,
So I created the forum, but we haven't had a chance to actually, because of all of our schedule, it's the same thing with us. We can't do this full time, so it's trying to get people to know that we have this and just get the word out more as far as what we're doing, and just let people know there's just to come and just fellowship with other hunters, and you don't have to be, we have specialty shoots just to try to change things up to where it's not the same old, but at the same time, you don't have to be this, everybody thinks they have to be an awesome shot to come do this stuff, and it's not really about that. It's about watching the kids shoot, it's about watching each other shoot and having fun, and, watching guys turn into kids again, which is kind of what you're supposed to do in the Bible, is be more like a kid. So it's just that whole atmosphere that I just want people to come in and have a good time, and win or lose or whatever. It's not really about that. It's just the fellowship.
Well, when I come up here and shoot, that's kind of what I do, more talking and sitting around watching everybody shoot than I do shooting. It's just, like you say, you kind of fall back into that childlike state, and that's what it is all about.
Well, a lot of people are intimidated. It's a Christian place, and then it's a club or an outdoor, and they're like, well, I'm not really Christian, or I'm not that good a shot. And like Randy said, it's not about that. We're just showing that once you walk in here, we ain't going to splash you with holy water and shove a Bible down your throat. We're not about that. We're just showing you what God's provided for us.
And then you want to see what kind of bow they shoot, what kind of arrows and what kind of gear they're running with, and then we start swapping stories. That's the cool part.
Yeah,
and we have all the information for them if they're interested in. Everybody has something inside of them as far as knowing that there's a God and stuff like that. It doesn't matter who you are. There's certain things that you know in your life, and that's just one of them. Whether you found it or not, that's another thing. So it's just, if we have that information, if that's something that you're interested in also, besides this. And like he said, it's not a pressure thing. It's not like you're coming in and we're going to give you a big sermon before here. You're going to tell you, the stuff that you're told at other churches, and that's why you don't go to church in the first place. We're just here to have fun and, do some different stuff. And
if you need that information, you provide it.
Right, it's all there, and can have conversations and just, let God do. Like I said, it's steps that people are ordered. You're here for a reason, whatever that reason is, and that's what will happen, whatever's supposed to happen.
We're not the one that does the actual work. He does the work through us. I mean, we're just a tool, and he puts us in the right place if we let him. And if that person's there and they need something, then we're there to help them out.
Mm-hmm. Well, he opens the door, and it's whether you to go through it.
You're talking about some of the shoots that you've provided. I've had the fortune of being able to take part in 2 of them, the William Tell and the tic-tac-toe shoot, which I thought was just really cool ideas. Now, you've got another one coming up in September. It's called the Cinder Block Smash. Care to tell everybody what that's about? That's your idea there.
Yeah, that's my idea.
I think it's an evil idea, but...
Basically, it's we call it the Cinder Block Smash Archery Challenge, and I think the way that I got the idea is I was watching Realtree Road Trips or Monster Bucks or something, and they were shooting on there, and T-Bone, when he does some of his weird, crazy stuff, one of the things he did was shoot through like a cinder block or whatever when he was shooting against, Mike Waddell and whatever. But so one day it just clicked in my head to do that, so I decided I'd build a wall and have everybody shoot through it. So basically what we're doing is, I think I've got an undisclosed yardage at somewhere under 20 yards that we're going to put the wall up at, and people are going to pay $25 to come in and they shoot. We're going to draw names, 50 people, and basically the order that you draw in is the order that you shoot. So if the first person to hit the wall is going to be 50th place and so forth, but we're going to give away a $300 gift card to one of the major sporting goods places around, Bass Pro, Cabela's, Gainer Mountain, something like that.
What do you guys looking for as far as, let's say a guy comes off the street and says, hey, I seen your sign out front, I want to come in, I want to shoot. What are you going to require for that person to come in and shoot?
Nothing. I mean, whatever they want. I mean, God will work with them. God will tell them what He needs to put in our donation bucket. This whole place is run by donation.
Yeah, it's all nonprofit. There's nothing that we take the money in and it goes right back to targets or just stuff to keep it running. But like he said, if somebody comes in, maybe they don't have any money, but they like to hunt and stuff, so be it. They're gonna shoot. They're gonna shoot for free. I mean, the average value is $5 to shoot at a range, but somebody might come in and they could cut a check for $1,000. It's based on
what's
they
on your
feel
heart,
like doing and what's on their heart. So, I mean, anybody can come in at any time and shoot when we're open. It's just
and your hours and days that you're open.
Usually Mondays from 5:30 till whenever you gotta go back to work, and then Thursdays about the same time.
Okay.
We're trying to open up Thursdays, but like what Randy said, we're going full-time job, schooling, and all that, and it's really hard for us to get this place open as much as what we wanted to.
Right.
All our specialty shoots are probably 99% of the time they're on Sunday afternoon from usually 1 to 5 p.m.
Okay.
We try to do one for sure once every 2 months, but maybe once a month. It just depends on, what else we got going and what other shoots and people coming here and things like that.
Okay. I heard some talk later on towards bow season about the 3-day grace. Is that still a go?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's that going to be?
We're going to try to simulate different
hunting situations.
Yeah, hunting situations, like sitting down. Might do Randy's 180. I don't know.
Shoot out of a blind.
Yeah.
The 180, is that where I heard where you jumped on the tree, you're in the tree stand and you kind of spun around?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Shot the deer.
That's all that matters.
We'll probably give away, door. It's just to get tuned up for October 1st.
Okay.
Put trees in the way of the targets, just something that simulates.
Just fun.
Okay.
Right, we have the sounds of the nature out to birds and everything else where people can, it's just like being there and being
chance to get in and get tuned up and get ready for opening day of season.
Right, because a lot of people, they go and shoot all summer, and then they put on their clothes and then they go out and shoot and wonder why they shot high. Well, you can come here 3 days before opening season and get everything on, shoot, and sitting down, standing up, whatever you need to do to get ready for it. We'll give away some prizes too.
Okay. Get ready for the opening.
And we'll have different tools here that help them out. We ain't gonna have a bow press or anything, but just tweak it.
Well, we don't have one yet.
Yeah.
It's on the list.
If anybody's listening has a bow press they want to donate, so
we've been really blessed with sponsors too. I mean,
who are some of the guys that are donating some of the stuff?
Carbon Express and Eastman Outdoors have been wonderful. G5, Muzzy, they just sent us a bunch of stuff that we're going to be giving away. Boning.
I know there's a lot of them.
Just average Joe see something, they want my address, and I give them my address, and somebody sent me a Rockies banner and an Abu Garcia banner. Well,
it's been good sitting here talking with you guys. Anybody wants to know where this place is, give me the address.
1938 South Dort Highway. It's off I-69 in Flint. Website's www.compassoutdoors.org.
So that was 2 of the 4 guys who make up Compass and what they're all about over there. And like I say, again, to those guys, thank you. And let's step outside real quick and take a break, and we'll come back with some other stuff. What do you think?
Sounds good.
Okay, we'll be right back after this.
If you're looking for the best in outdoor hunting and fishing podcasts, look no further than the Outdoor Radio Network. Each week we have dozens of podcasts devoted to outdoor sports, with shows like On the Water with Bob Murray, Bass Champ Journal, Surf and Shore Fishing, just to name a few. Check out all outdoor podcasts on the OutdoorRadioNetwork.com.
Okay, here we go. Stand by in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back, everybody. And while we were on commercial break, one of the kids come running in, and we had quite a little spectacle here at the house. Out back, we saw 4 nice bucks out in the back field, and actually one of them looked like an albino deer. And Jake, you're in here with us now, my youngest boy, Jake. Did you get a good look at it and check it out?
Yeah.
What'd you think about it?
It was pretty cool because not a lot of kids get to see him every day.
Yeah, it was a nice rack on it. It was probably 6, 8 pointer. And actually, that's the second one we've seen here around the house this year, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw a doe earlier this year that was actually, we know that one was a piebald.
Yeah.
Because from the neck up,
it was brown.
It was completely brown. But this one it's white, man. It looked white to head to toe. And actually, we got the video camera out, and I shot probably 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes of video. And it was about 300 yards away, so I'm sitting in the windowsill trying to videotape it, and I actually went on a digital zoom on it and went 40 times. You can still see it pretty plain, pretty clear.
Kind of shaky, though, at times.
Yeah, it was zoomed in quite a ways, but we're going to post that on the net. I don't know, it'll be on YouTube or be on one of our web blogs, so just be sure to check them out and look for albino deer sighting, because I think that's probably what I'll title it. And you guys can check it out. It was a beautiful buck. And it was running with 3 other bucks.
Yeah.
3 nice bucks, at least 6 points or bigger. And they were feeding through the field in the back. So I was blown away, man. That is just too cool to see an albino. So, but Jake, you got, not to change the subject here, but you got to shoot your new bow this week that you guys are doing for the Youth Bow Review. You're getting the micro adrenaline from Browning to use, but you're shooting a lot of other bows too. You got to shoot that bow. It's not completely set up yet. You were shooting it instinctively. What'd you think about it?
It was pretty cool.
Yeah, you got to get it all set up and get your sights and everything on it, right? Now, you've been shooting Mackenzie's bow, too, a little bit, the Micro Eclipse. That's a single cam bow. What'd you think about that one? You shot that quite a bit.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
Yeah, it felt good in the hands, pulled easy. Yeah, you like the way it shot and the way it felt?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, now you shot the Matthews Genesis bow, too. Now, that was that constant draw bow. What'd you think about that one?
Yeah, it was pretty cool how it was constant draw.
Yeah, it's, wherever you put it, that's the draw length.
I mean, I could pull it back.
Yeah, actually.
I pulled it back.
Right.
I think it goes to like 30, 32 draw.
Yeah. Now, actually, you shot the Adrenaline also, didn't you? You took a couple whacks with it and the Eclipse both?
The one without the sight?
Yeah.
Yeah, I took a few with I keep forgetting the names. I keep getting them mixed
up. The Adrenaline's the one with the double cam and the Eclipse is single cam.
I shot the Adrenaline and I shot the Eclipse, but I think you only shot the Eclipse like once or twice.
Yeah. What'd you think about the cam setup on that Adrenaline? It's got a radical cam on it.
Yeah, for a kid's bow, it's got pretty aggressive cams, I thought.
It ramps up quick, but once you get the LUT off it, you can hold it pretty steadily. So
it kind of seems like an adult bow.
Yeah, it looks like an adult bow, doesn't it?
That's the one you can take up to my draw length, can't you?
I believe so, and it will go up to 50 pounds. You get the right limb set up on it. So now we also got the Parker Buckshot. Did either one of you two shoot that bow?
You shot it once.
Shot it once. Okay, that one was fully set up. That's the one that Gander Mountain let us use for the season. What did you think about that one?
Yeah, it was pretty cool, but I couldn't see through the peep.
Okay, because it was set up for somebody else, right? Now, with that being said, when we were at the Lansing event at the Gander Mountain store here back in June, we actually did an interview with Matt Marsh from Parker Bows, and he talked about their youth bows. Actually, we didn't talk about the buckshot. We talked about the sidekick. So here's the interview with Matt Marsh from Parker Bows.
Mike Adams here, the Up North Journal, here with Matt Marsh, Parker Bow, and you've got the Sidekick XP here. Tell us a little bit about how this bow functions for a youth, how adjustable it is, some of the innovative options that you've got on this thing compared to other bows.
Well, Mike, there's a lot of really nice features with the sidekick. The sidekick, one of the top things that I like to point out with guys right off the bat is it's got an 18 to 28 inches of draw adjustability in the cam. That makes a huge difference when, as youth grow up and grow into it, mom or dad can actually adjust the draw length of the bow on the kitchen table.
You don't have to take it into a bow shop or a pro shop to have this done.
Nope, you don't have to put it in a press to have it done or anything. There's one screw here, and all the numbers are set right there, so you know that you put the top and the bottom cam in the correct slot, and that'll adjust your draw length. So as Joey or Jimmy grows up, he can adjust that bow as he grows. One of the nice features that Parker also has with the sidekick is the Grow Up with Parker program. The Grow Up with Parker program starts off when you set a child up into a 30-pound bow. As they grow into that bow, you're adjusting the draw lengths for them, but also once they get to the point where they can go beyond that 30-pound range, they send the bow back into Parker or their local dealer, and for $50 they can upgrade the limbs. There's multiple, you can do that twice all the way up to a 50-pound limb. One of the nice features with that is the fact that if you have more than one child, they get to keep the limbs after they upgrade it.
Okay. So you can put it back on.
Right, so you can actually put the limbs back on, and now your little brother or little sister gets to use the bow. By having it go up to 28 inches, all the way up to 28 inches with the 50-pound limbs, now you have your son or daughter up to their mid-teens that they're shooting. Now they're ready to step into a adult bow.
Okay.
So it gets them into it well. You know, it's a $319 package, and it's going to take care of a child from 8 years old to 14 years old.
Okay, now when you change the limbs out, do you recommend changing out the strings and the cables with it, or
Strings and cables are one of those things that if they're properly maintained, if you keep the wax on the strings, if the strings are in good shape, then it's really, you're all right with it. Once the string starts fraying and whatnot, Parker will make that distinction when they have it. If they need to put new strings on it or something like that, they'll adjust accordingly.
Okay. And what about the cams? The cams, when they change the limbs out, are they interchangeable with each limb?
The cams, when you put new limbs on it, all you're doing is putting a new set of limbs on it. Everything else is going to be the exact same bow. So when they switch this bow over, the string and everything is still going to be in the same spot. Everything's going to be the same. All they're going to have to do is adjust the sights for their new poundage.
Okay, so you got, what you said, 10, 11 inches of
this
draw
has
length?
11 inches draw adjustability, 18 to 28.
Okay, and it starts out at what poundage?
This will go all the way down to 20 pounds.
20 and then up to 30, then you start
20,
changing.
30, 30, 40, 40, 50.
Okay. All right. Well, looks like a nice package. Thank you, and hopefully we can drive some people to the website there and check it out. And
sounds great.
Thanks you very
Mike.
much.
Appreciate it.
So that was Matt Marsh from Parker's Bow, and that was their sidekick. It's a little similar to what we've got there with the Buckshot. It's got that Grow with Parker program where you can upgrade the limbs, kind of like the Browning with the Micro Midas 3.
The Grow With Me program.
Yeah, so, that's a nice option for these youth bows. Now, kind of getting back into what we did this weekend and moving along with some things, we had to get ready to get the bows to the kids this weekend and get ready for our Broadhead test. So one of the things we did, we had to get some targets, obviously, for the broadheads. So we couldn't just carve up bales or the 3Ds up there at Compass. You don't want to be shooting broadheads into that. So we did a lot of looking over the last week, and what we come up with, actually from Gander Mountain, we bought these targets outright. They didn't provide them for us. We bought these. Was the block. It's a broadhead target. You can use expandables. You can use fixed blade broadheads. Or
I think we got the 4x4 pup.
Yeah, it was the pup. It was a smaller one, and they had a pretty good price on them. And I had some Gander bucks that I used, so that helped out. We got those for $48. So
it was marked like $80.
Original price on it was $80, and we got them for $48. So out the door, that was a pleasant surprise. We got 2 of those, and
not both for $48 though.
No, not both. No,
that'd be sweet if we did.
And one of the other things we got that we actually didn't get to use, we actually tried it, but was a chronograph. We wanted to speed check some of this stuff for the youth bows, and we also wanted to speed check and see what happens when you went from a field tip to a broadhead to actually see if it made any difference at all in your actual feet per second. And we set it up, and I don't know a lot about chronographs. Kevin Hutchings, member of the pro staff here at Up North Journal, he does. He's done a lot of reading on them. But what had happened is they actually work off of light. as a light source to read the speeds. And
it's kind of like a shadow, isn't it?
Yeah, he said the way it works is kind of a shadow effect as it passes through the front and the rear sensor.
Shadows.
So we didn't have enough light indoors. Actually, we had the wrong kind of light on top of that. So we thought there might have been something wrong with the chronograph. We actually got it home later that day, set it up in the front yard, and it was on because we had a lot of sunlight that day, and it worked. So that's something we got to get back into. And the one thing that we really, really wanted to do with these broadheads is check them for pass-through on bones, direct hit to a bone. Well, Kevin, I swear he was MacGyver in some other life or something because this guy can make anything. And he come up with some ballistics gel. He made some ballistic gel, and we had some deer bones, some shoulder bones of carcasses that we'd found laying on the side of the road down in the area where we hunt. And that's a whole nother story for another show. It's just poachers dump deer down there.
We already talked about it.
Yeah, left and right. And he found some bones that were picked clean, some good rib bones. And I think he got either 2 or 4 shoulder bones.
He got 2.
Well, he put 2 in the gel, and I don't know if he's got 2 more or not. But anyway, he set these up, did a beautiful job. And we're going to have pictures on our website and on the blog site about this and talk more about it. But he made that and had that ready for us. So that was what we had to look forward to getting ready for this thing. Not to mention getting Compass to allow us to come in, making sure that we had enough people to do the shoot and have everything there and ready to go. So, you guys participated in that. Jake, you actually got to shoot into the ballistics gel with the deer bones. That was pretty cool, wasn't it?
Yeah, it surprised me how I shot through with the field point.
Yeah, you took your field point, you popped one of them, and he hit the thin part of the shoulder blade. But he penetrated it with that. So that goes to show you these little kids' bow with a field point. They do penetrate.
That'd still be cool if I got through the thick part.
Yeah, it would have been, but not with the field point, and not with the poundage you're pulling. But that goes to show you, kids, if you're out there and you're practicing with your field tips, do not point a bow at anybody. These things, even a child's bow, youth bow, with a field point, it can be dangerous or deadly. I mean, truth speaking, he penetrated a shoulder bone with it. Albeit it was a thin part of the blade, the field point still went through. It didn't go all the way through
skin, even if it is.
Yes, just still in case.
Yep, just in case. So, but
we don't want anybody getting shot.
Well, with all that being said, I don't want to go over everything yet we did at the Broadhead Test, so let's save that for the end of the show. I do want to go over one piece of quick news, and then we'll take a break and come right back. But the news this week...
It's the best part of the show.
Yeah, well, you can get to that in just a minute. But the news this week come out of Minnesota. And here recently, if you've been listening to the show or reading any of the blogs, Hunters for the Hungry, a big national organization who donates venison to these food banks, ran into a huge roadblock this year because they said they found lead particles in the venison. And it created a huge uproar, especially in the state of Minnesota. They actually stopped the whole program altogether. Well, they're going to reinstitute the program. The Hunters for the Hungry are going to allow them to donate venison back to the food banks there in Minnesota. But what they're doing this year, instead of grinding it into hamburger, they're going to make sure that when it comes from the butcher that they're cut into steaks, that they're actually sliced into steaks instead of ground up. And they said that the percentage of lead-tainted meat coming from deer is substantially less when it's cut into steaks versus being ground up. And what they're thinking happen is when they're in the grinding process,
it's all getting mixed together.
It's all getting mixed together, and lead particles are kind of going everywhere. So they say, I don't want to even get into that. But truth be known, there's not been one documented case of anybody getting sick or lead poison from it. So, take that for what it's worth. It's a controversial topic, but the fact remains, now the whole state of Minnesota, their food banks are going to allow venison back into their food lockers, which is great news for people who are disadvantaged. So that's my one tidbit of information for this week, or I should say outdoor news for the week. So we're going to step outside, take another quick break, and we'll come back for the end of the show and the humongous Broadhead Test.
The best part of the show.
Well, we'll get to that. Stay tuned.
If you're looking for the best in outdoor hunting and fishing podcasts, look no further than the Outdoor Radio Network. Each week we have dozens of podcasts devoted to outdoor sports, with shows like On the Water with Bob Murray, Bass Champ Journal, Surf and Shore Fishing, just to name a few. Check out all outdoor podcasts on the OutdoorRadioNetwork.com.
Welcome back to another Best Product Show, Mikey's Game Bag. Okay, well this week on Mikey's Game Bag, I'm going to be talking about something that a lot of archers are worried about nowadays, which I don't get, because I'm talking about feet per second with bows and stuff. And newer bows like this are getting up to 400 FPS per second.
Well, maybe not 400, but 350.
Yeah, close.
Okay.
But a lot of people are getting too concerned about speed and stuff like that.
You got into a discussion with a guy on the internet today about that, didn't you?
Yeah, he was talking. I was in a chat room on Archery Talk. And if none of you know about Archery Talk, it's a great forum where you can learn lots of information. Lots of archers are on there. There's traditional and there's compound and crossbows.
What's the website, actual website address?
ArcheryTalk.com.
Okay. So you're talking about speed. People, I agree with you. I think people are getting so hyped up on speed, and I don't mean the drug speed. I'm talking about bow speed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're worried about speed. And actually, next week I've got a really good interview with the guy from Eastman Outdoors and the guy from American Broadhead. We sit down after the Broadhead shoot, and we talked about this subject and a couple other things, but talking about speed. Guys are really going after speed, but they're giving up so much getting to it. So, I think it's overkill myself. But you've got a little thing here you want to go over.
Yeah, I was looking through which everyone should. They should look through their manuals, through their guns and bows and stuff. And really, what I noticed in this manual, there's not a lot of information on the bow itself, on just how to get it. Like on their products that are on the bow, like their cams and stuff and their strings. But I found this neat thing on speed on here, and it tells you for everything you put on your bow, specifically your string.
Okay.
And it will tell you how much feet per second it takes off.
Okay, so any accessory you put on,
yeah,
obviously you have to give up something in order to gain something.
Yeah.
And more specifically, you're talking like if you're putting on something on like on a sight, a loop, or silencers, or what have you. Okay, but you got a little chart there. What do you got?
It says if you put a brass knock on your arrow, on your string, not your arrow, for your arrow.
Okay.
It takes away approximately 2 to 4 feet per second.
Okay.
And then for a peep sight, it's 3 to 6 feet per second.
Okay.
String silencers, like the little bat dampeners and stuff.
Okay.
Them are 2 to 6 feet per second. E-buttons, which I assume is like a kisser button or something.
Okay.
Or like them little rubber things that are on the Brownings, are 2 feet per second each.
Okay.
A rubber peep tube, like the aligners, that's 6 to 10.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that is a lot.
Especially say you're shooting something that's around 180 feet per second, and you're losing 10 feet per second. That's substantial. You're down to 170. I mean, that's taking off some speed.
A string loop, like for releases, is 1 to 3 without the brass knocks.
A string loop without the brass knock is how much?
1 to 3.
1 to 3. So, and if you got a brass knock,
I noticed on that PSE there is.
Yeah. So that's another 2.
Yep. And viral blocks, which they're like little silencers with stickers on the back of them.
Okay.
You peel off the back of them and stick them on your limbs, are 0 to 2. So really, that's not that much.
Okay. So you can load up your bow to help it, number one, be accurate, and also to make it quiet. But you're going to give up something for that.
Yeah, you're going to give up speed.
Okay. So you can average, it looks like anywhere from maybe 10 to 20 feet per second, just by putting dampeners and sights. And
maybe 30 if you really put lots of silencers on them.
Right. So that's interesting, but it brings up a good subject, talking about feet per second, trying to gain speed. Everybody's looking for that magical 300 number, trying to get up over 300. One of the guys at the range yesterday, the guy from American Broadhead, he said he talked to somebody before, and he said scientifically, I don't know who they is, but somebody did a test and figured out in order to overcome a deer jumping the string, that's what they call jumping the string, which means when a deer flinches because they hear the string or they hear the shot, you would have to get upwards of 800 feet per second in order to get rid of a deer being able to jump the string.
Yeah.
So, if you're gaining, say you're upwards of 300 and you're trying to get up into that 325 or 350 range, you're trying to really get something cracking. You're not gaining that much on the deer itself. Well, there goes our dogs. They must be barking at something outside. But yeah, it just goes to show you that how far you would have to get in order to beat that string jump. So
yeah, and here's another thing to think about. Think about this. You know how much like grains arrows are, like 250, 350?
Right.
For every 3 grains, you lose 1 feet per second.
Okay, and they're talking about total weight of your arrow.
Yep.
Okay. For 3 grains, you're losing how much?
1
foot per second. So if you say you're going from 100 to 125, it's roughly 8 feet per second that you're losing. Now, there's also something to be said for that too. You might be losing feet per second, but you're also gaining kinetic energy downrange. And we go into that on the interview next week too, from Dave Plowcher from American Broadhead.
I got into that guy with it on kinetic energy today too.
Well, yeah. What did he say back to you?
He said he doesn't worry about that because all he shoots is whitetails. He says he passes through them every time.
He's not worried about kinetic energy. Okay.
And I'm like, well, you got something wrong with you then, dude.
Well, everybody to each their own, but it's like I was talking yesterday. If you've got a baseball pitching machine and it's throwing baseballs at you at 100 miles an hour and you're getting hit with a baseball and you put in a tennis ball, which is virtually the same size, and it's whipping that at 100 miles an hour, which one do you want to get hit with? You want to get hit with the lightest one because it's not going to hurt as bad.
I don't know if I think tennis balls hurt worse.
Well, they hurt, but I'm saying you've got more mass. When you've got more mass coming at the same speed, obviously it's going to break down faster. You're going to lose that volume, but, most people who shoot whitetails here in Michigan aren't shooting over 20, 25, 30 yards. The arrow is not declining in speed at that great a rate at that distance.
Like them guys out west are shooting 60, 70 yards.
Right, yeah. We've listened to those guys on the internet quite a bit from Bowcast. Those guys, they're launching some serious
And them
distance.
are the guys that are really worried about speed.
Right, because they have to. They have to keep their speeds up because they're shooting game at longer distances. So there is a trade-off. It depends on where you're hunting. But the guy you were talking to, was he a Michigan hunter?
I think he was in Ohio or Wisconsin.
Ohio, Wisconsin. Basically same topography. If you're hunting whitetail, at least here in Michigan where we hunt, and most people hunt in Michigan, you're not taking 60, 70, 80-yard shots. They're
Unless if you're hunting a field.
You're hunting over a bean field, but then you got to have a clear opening to shoot out of your tree stand. I just don't think it's that big of a deal to bump up, your grain on your broadheads and on your arrows. If you're building those arrows up to be heavier, you're going to have more kinetic energy. You're going to have more knockdown. Let's say you misplace that shot just by a little bit, or if you've got a quartering away shot and you drive it through that lung, but you also catch that front shoulder on the opposite side. I want as much knockdown power as I can get to drive it through that front shoulder.
Yep.
It's all about the energy getting through. So, but yeah, that was a very interesting little thing you had there about speeds and what it does to your bow and the things that you put on and what how much it takes off. So, it's quite eye opening. So is that it for the game bag?
Yep.
All right. Well, this is the point you've all been waiting for. You want to know which broadhead's the best. Honestly, I'm not going to tell you which one's the best because, but I'm going to tell you what. But I'm going to tell you what we found out So far, yeah. Right now, I can't tell you which one's the best, but I can tell you which one's performed well in the things that we did, and
which ones basically failed.
First of all, let me say we didn't have a hooter shooter. We don't have access to one.
What do you mean a hooter shooter?
It's a machine that shoots arrows.
Oh.
Okay, or shoots bows. Okay, it takes the human element. Why were you smiling when I said that? It's not a girl from Hooters restaurant coming out and shooting arrows. Okay, you thought that was funny too, didn't you, Jake? See what kind of boys I got to put up with here, folks. It's a machine that actually shoots arrows. Okay, it takes the human element out of it. And obviously, we don't have access to one of those. Don't even know where to even begin to get one. And
so it's kind of like it has the mini bow inside it.
yeah, I've never actually even seen one.
I have.
Have you seen one on the internet?
Yeah, I've seen PSC. They did a test with the X-Force, and I think they got to they were testing how many dry fires they could do with it.
Okay.
And they got to upwards to 2,000. Okay. Before it broke.
So you can actually put a bow, whatever bow you're using, you put it in the machine, in the shooter, and fire it.
Basically, it's like a bow press vertical.
Okay, I gotcha. So, that being said, we rallied the troops. We got everybody up there from the Up North Journal.
First time
we had all 5 guys from Up North Journal. Me, Mikey, Kevin Hutchings, Tim Ford, and Chuck Parr. And actually, we did an interview after the shoot. We sat down and did an on-camera interview, and I don't know what happened, but the audio didn't record because I was actually going to put it on the podcast tonight. So, guys, I apologize. The first time we get together,
something goes wrong.
Something goes wrong.
They must not want us all together.
So, that being said, we'll have to do it again next time is all I can say. But some of the things we looked at when we did the Broadhead test, we looked at penetration of bone mass. Like I said, Kevin, he MacGyvered us up some ballistics gel, dropped in some bones, and everybody was extremely impressed with what this guy come up with. It was very realistic, and the thing held up well. He made it big enough and enough bones in there that we had every broadhead that we had on site. We shot at different parts of this gelatin, and they all passed through the bone. Let me say that first off. Every broadhead that we had on site went through shoulder bones, rib bones with no problem. Complete pass-throughs, okay? There was even a couple of the broadheads when we were shooting that we had glancing blows on the bones. We'd turn around and shoot them again. We'd pick another spot that hasn't been shot. That was the main thing we did not want to do. We did not want to break the integrity of the gelatin or the bone at the impact area. So we specifically put dots up on the front of the gel to make sure we were targeting good, clean areas that had not been, impacted before. Another thing that we did, and everybody that's emailed me, this is the number one question. Everybody asks, my broadhead does not fly like my field tip. I want a broadhead that flies like a field tip. So that's one of the things we did. And what we did is each shooter who picked out the broadhead they wanted to shoot, they took their field tip and they targeted, and targeted. Make sure they were dead on. And then they'd turn around, on that same arrow, they'd turn around, they'd put the broadhead that they were going to test, they'd put it on there, and they shot it at the target, at the bullseye. And there were some that flew dead on, and there were some that didn't. So we've got the results of that. And then we did the penetration test. Now this is where we took the new block, the foam block, the name brand block target that we bought. Actually bought 2 of them, and we set them out. And the distances we were shooting was about 8 yards. We shot everything at about 8 yards. Let me get that out of the way too. But what we did is, at 8 yards, we measured the penetration of each arrow into a clean, unbroken plane of the target. We did not fire any of these broadheads into a part of the target that had already had penetration into it. Okay, so that way it wouldn't be easier for it to drive deeper. We wanted it to all be the same. Now, the shooters that we're shooting with, we did have 3 different pound ratings set up, and we kind of cross-referenced some of this stuff with different tips, and you'll see later on what we're talking about. But for the main thrust of the whole thing, for the penetration, we all shot, or not we, the guys. There was 1, 2, 3, 4 guys who were shooting, and they were all at 63 pounds. We had a bow scale, we measured it. They were all shooting at that 63-pound range. And the results of the whole test was really eye-opening. Before I even get into this, you shot some, didn't you?
Yep.
For the youth bow.
Actually, Dave's kid, I think, shot too.
And Dave's kid from...
we had the same poundage.
Actually, had the same bow.
Yeah, same bow, same poundage.
He was shooting Equalizer also from Bowtech.
Although last year's model.
It was a 2007 model. But it was it was eye-opening watching you kids shoot. Tim, the guy who does our web stuff and is kind of overseeing our fishing part of the Up North Journal, he shoots at about 50 pounds. I shoot at 55. My dad was there, and he shot at 55. we had my dad shoot exclusively the 125 grain tips, because we only had 2 people who provided us with a 125 grain broadhead, and that's what my dad wanted to shoot, and that's what he was there to shoot. So with that being said, looking over the results of the 125 grain broadhead, the 2 that stepped to the plate and brought broadheads or sent us broadheads was G5. They sent us the Striker Magnums, which are 125 grain broadhead, and American Broadhead Company sent us the Buckmaster 125 grain broadhead. Now, like I said, with my dad shooting, he didn't want to do the ballistic shot through the gelatin. There's no doubt in my mind that those arrowheads would have passed clean through, because there was smaller and bigger broadheads that passed clean through the bone. Okay, it's just he wasn't comfortable with shooting that.
I probably would have shattered the bones.
It would have. But he did do the penetration test on both of these, and it was so close. It was a virtual tie. At 8 yards into the foam block, the Striker Magnums penetrated 10 3/8 inches, and the Buckmaster from American Broadhead outperformed it by a half inch. It went 10 5/8. So the Buckmaster, I believe, was 1 1/8 cut diameter.
Yep.
And the Striker Magnum was 1 1/2, so a 3/8 inch difference in the width of the cut. So, and now both of those are a fixed blade, but they are they're replaceable. Exactly. They do break down, take them apart. They can be sharpened, and all that. We're going to break down with some pricing and how much the replacement blades and all that are at a later time. So, but that 125 grain broadheads, a lot of guys use that, and that was it was eye-opening to see those 2.
Actually, didn't you shoot 125s last season?
I shot 125s, but I shot some off-brand something or other, and I've made that. This year I'm going to make the jump into a good broadhead. I'm not going to compromise anything. From what I seen yesterday, you pay the money. You get what you pay for. You really do. Now, something else we talked about, the speeds. That guy you was talking with online. Trying to get that speed up there and trying to get your arrow weights down and all that. We did a test that was really eye-opening, and this was with a 50-pound bow. Okay, this Tim Ford, he shoots a PSE. Okay, he shot American Broadheads last year, and he wanted to see what the difference was between a 100 grain broadhead and their Sonic Bullet 150 grain broadhead. And we're talking 50 grains difference. Okay, and he did a penetration test. Now, remember, guys, he's shooting, we're talking a full 13 pounds less draw, okay? But now for the American Broadhead, the Sonic 100s, he shot into the block at 7 3/4 inches. Same distance, same bow, same arrow, with a 150 grain broadhead, 8 3/4 inches penetration, a full inch deeper. So that right there shows you there's more kinetic energy. Now, granted, we're only shooting at 8 yards, okay?
Yeah.
Now, if you're shooting at 70 yards, is that arrow going to break down faster? Sure it is. It's heavier. But at short range, you're going to have more kinetic energy. It's going to make more of an impact. It's going to do more damage. Okay.
See, something you have to remember is deer are a lot softer than them blocks.
That's true. That's exactly true. That block target is made to stop arrows. Okay. You're not going to blast. I mean, they're made for broadheads. That's what they're made for. You're not going to blast through a block.
Yep.
Okay. And I think most of the guys out there listening to this know that. So, but that is a good point. Okay. Now, looking at both those broadheads, clean pass-through. Completely clean pass-through on the shoulder bones. Okay. I believe, no, it was a 120. No, it was a 150. Dave Plaucher from American Broadhead actually shot the 150, and we had two rib bones side by side, completely obliterated and shattered them when he hit them. Okay, so there's no problem with pass-throughs on bones. But the one thing I will say with the American Broadheads, they did have damage to the blades. Okay, there was little nicks out of the blade on the steel. But I will say every broadhead but one had the same problems. They would have damage to the broadheads. They would have little nicks in them. Now, I'm not saying you couldn't resharpen those blades. It wasn't that substantial. But there was a noticeable nick in the blades when it hit the bone. Okay? The only broadhead that did not sustain damage to the blades was G5s. That was a Striker 100 grain broadhead. Okay? Now, that one was shot by the guy from Eastman Outdoors. he was shooting the Bowtech Guardian.
Yep, Guardian.
It's 63 pounds. And when he did the penetration test on that, it was 12 1/4 inches. Okay? 12 1/4 inch penetration, complete pass-through on the bone. And if I remember right, that one and the Montec, both which is made by G5, both of those, a couple times there was a glancing blow on the bone. Okay? It wasn't a direct hit. So we turned around, got him back on the line, same broadhead, same exact everything. Shot the same broadhead again. And it glanced again on one of the guys. I can't remember who it was. So he did it again. After 3 times, third time he finally complete shatter of the bone, passed through on the bone. Still no damage to it. Now the blade was dull, but it was not damaged. There was no damage at all. There was no nicks. No nicks. There was no curled in on it. No nothing.
That's cool.
That was cool. Now, as far as that goes, I will say the G5 outperformed the American Broadhead by durability only. Okay. As far as penetration, American Broadhead. Okay. Now, if you're looking for something that's maybe a little less pricey and you're willing to give up just a little bit as far as being durable, we shot the FET heads from Steel Force. And those were shot on a 63-pound bow also. Complete pass-through on bone, 12 inches of penetration on the block. Okay. You're looking at that one at 100 grains, 12-inch penetration. You're looking at the Montecs. The Montec was 11. The Striker from G5 also 12 1/4. But the winner overall, like I said, was the Sonic 100 from American Broadhead, 15 inches of penetration.
Dang.
That was on a 63-pound bow. Okay, and that was actually shot by Dave on a Hoyt.
Not straight through a deer.
It blasted completely right through it, so it outperformed any of the others by penetration. The Sonic 100s that he shot through his bow. I'm sorry, the Bullet Sonic 150s that he shot through his bow at 63 pounds was 13 1/4 inches. So that, we had talked earlier about when Tim shot that, those same 2 broadheads, we're talking 7 3/4 and 8 3/4. Well, we're talking almost double the penetration when you step up 13 pounds on a bow.
Yeah.
So that just goes to show you, it shows you that they put the smack down on them. So, but a couple of other ones that we tested. I'm trying to look down here. Oh, okay, the Muzzy MX3s and MX4s. Now, Tim shot these. Somewhere along the way, I went to get pizza during this whole deal, and these guys carried on the process, and some of the things kind of got, they didn't get messed up, but we had some other guys shooting. Like I said, Tim shot the Muzzies. I really wish we'd have had somebody with a 63-pound bow shoot these also.
Yeah.
But like I said, when Tim shot the American Broadheads, the Sonic 100s, it was 7 3/4 inches deep. When he shot the Muzzies, it was 7 3/4. The MX4s he shot was 7 inches. So as far as penetration, they were real close. But I do know they did not fly straight. There was a major problem with these guys flying. I believe it was at least 2 inches right at 8 yards. Another problem we had with...
That's at 8 yards.
That's at 8 yards. Another problem we had with arrows flying, we tried the Crimson Crocs, made by Crimson Talon. Those were run through a 63-pound bow. 10 1/4 inch penetration, but they flew 2.5 inches right. They weren't accurate as the field tips. But the Crimson Talon Viper Venom 100s, those had a penetration of 12.5 inches. I was impressed by that because that was almost a two-bladed broadhead. It had 2 little thin foils of blade coming out on each side off of the main broadhead, but it had a heck of a penetration, and they were dead on. They flew straight. So,
remember those 2 that I did with the bones?
You shattered the bones with your bow. You did a complete pass through. You shot the Crimson Crocs and the Crimson Vipers, and you're shooting
45 pounds.
45 pound, 42, 43, 44, 45 pound bow, and you did complete pass through on bone, on the shoulder bones. Now, those are all fixed blade broadheads, and we also got 2 companies to provide us with mechanicals. I had extremely high expectations this year of mechanicals. That's all I've heard. People say mechanical. And I thought, well, man, maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I need to try and test these and see exactly what I'm missing. I'm not missing nothing. I'm telling you, I was very disappointed in the 2 companies that provided me broadheads. Actually, let me take that back. I was very disappointed in one company. The other company they maintained probably an even playing field, so to speak, and that was the Aftershock Hypershock 2-bladed mechanical, and shot through a 63-pound bow. They penetrated 10 3/4 inches, which was right in the middle of the range, but they shot 2 inches to the right. They did not fly straight, which kind of surprised me. That was one thing that did surprise me. Now, they went through the bone, no problem. They did penetrate and pass through bone. Aftershock did also provide us with the Maniac, which is a fixed blade, 4-bladed broadhead. I shot that through the bone in my bow at 55 pounds through my Hoyt Tricon, and it passed through. There was the only damage to the blade was the replaceable part of the blade. It had a little knurled in on it. But you know what? It was a direct hit right in the shoulder bone, and it blasted completely through. And I'm talking the fat knob part of it. That one I was impressed with. But like I said, I went to get pizza, and I forgot. I never got to do a penetration test on that broadhead. Sorry to say. As far as flying straight, it went right where I aimed when I shot that at the shoulder blade. So I will say that for Aftershock, their 4-blade, I've got confidence in that one. Like I said, I wish I would have done the penetration test. I forgot, and I've got to get back with the company. If I can get some more broadheads back in from them, I'm going to do the penetration test on it because I want to give them a fair shake. But as far as their mechanicals, I wasn't overly impressed with them. They did okay. But the company I was completely dissatisfied with was Grim Reaper. I was completely shocked by the results of what we saw with their broadhead. When we opened the package up, there was 3 broadheads in that package. They were pre-assembled. All you had to do was line up the locking collar on it and screw it onto your arrow. And the mechanical blades are supposed to stay in that closed position until you hit the animal. 2 of the 3 broadheads we pulled out of the package, the blades fell. Once they put on the broadhead, the blades fell open. I don't know why. We checked the lock ring on them. I don't know if it was the spring in them that was misaligned or what. But when you buy a broadhead and you pay, I don't know what they cost in the store, $30-40. When you put that on, they need to work. I know the guys there at the range, everybody was shocked because Grim Reaper has a good name. We shot him through a 63-pound Hoyt X-Tex bow, and they had a penetration of 11 1/4 inches. The first thing we did, though, is we shot it through the bone. It went through the bone, no problem. We got it closed back up, got back up to the range, got ready to do the penetration test on it. And, actually, no, I take that back. We got back up to the line and did the accuracy test. And it flew 2 inches high, but it was on line. So, that could be because you're shooting close, but it was the only the only broadhead that we saw that flew high. So it didn't fly exactly true as a field tip. But the part that really kind of blew me away is when we shot it into the block. When it penetrated, like I said, it had 11 1/4 inches of penetration. When we pulled it out, it completely stripped off the locking collar. It completely stripped off all 3 blades, and they're still stuck in the bail. The other mechanical blade, not a problem. Pulled right out, no problem. Came completely out. This broadhead disintegrated inside the foam block. So out of 3 broadheads, two of them deployed once they were on the arrow, and the other one fell apart, pulling it out of a block.
So if we bought that one, we'd be wasting like $40.
Probably so. And maybe we got a bad batch of them. I don't want to give those guys a bad rub, but that's the facts. That's exactly what happened.
You can't be lying.
No, I'm not going to lie. Exactly. You're exactly right, Jake. I was very disappointed in that because I had such high hopes of mechanical blades. I really wanted to see something perform well in a mechanical and saying, yeah, man, I've been missing this for years. This is what it's all about. This is what I need to use. It's not true, At least the 2 that we tested.
What one did you want to test?
I wanted to test the G5 Tekkens, the Tekken 2s.
I wanted to.
And actually, we didn't get any of those in. We still may get some of those, and if we do, we'll do the same thing with them because we're going to... Actually, the next thing that Kevin wants to do is he wants to mock up Ballistics gel about the same width as a deer and put 2 side-by-side shoulder blades in. He wants to see if he can do a complete pass-through on 2 shoulder blades, and see if he can just pass it all the way through 2 solid bones.
And I was thinking we could do that with the Tekkens.
Well, if we get them, we sure will.
Have you seen the True Fire's new mechanical broadhead?
No, I have not.
It's it doesn't have blades or anything. It does have the blades, but they're pointed back around the arrow, so when you screw it in, they're behind the arrow.
Okay.
And for engaging, it's like a field point tip on it. And when it hits, it pushes it in, and it pushes the blades out and back.
Okay. So it's got like a pressure situation that pushes it and locks it in.
Yeah, I wanted to try them.
Yeah, I haven't
seen
those.
And it locks it in with a locking pin.
And and another real popular mechanical is the Rage, and we didn't get any of those. We may have to spring for some of them and get them out there, because I've had guys ask me about that. Say, hey, are you testing the Rage? I'm like, well, yeah, I want to, but they didn't send me any. So we're kind of, that's probably the other most popular brand out there that we did not get to try. So by looking at all these, you put these on you put one of these broadheads on your arrow. If you're shooting inside 20 yards, are you going to kill a deer? Sure you are. If you put that shot in the right place, that broadhead's going to do its job. Now, if you're in a little challenging situation and, or maybe, like I say, you're taking that quartering away shot and you're trying to drive it through that front shoulder.
Or shooting through an opening between two limbs.
It's just, maybe you're presented with such a small window of opportunity for that shot. You're confident that you can take that shot, but, you've got to penetrate some hard bone. The way I look at it from what I saw, and folks, before I say any more about this, we didn't pay for any of these blades. These blades were all sent to us. And I am no way obligated to any of these folks. There's no sponsorship here. We're not being paid by anybody. This is just
all donated.
Yeah, it's an honest Joe Hunter. We got a bunch of guys together that wanted to tear up some blades, and that's what it amounted to. And I think I can speak safely for all the guys who were there at the test that were impressed by two companies, American Broadhead and G5. They stood out above everybody else. But, like I said, the Steel Force, now I know price-wise, Steel Force is a little less than the others, and they were right there with them. I mean, they came in a really good solid third place.
See, I've never even heard of Steel Force before.
I hadn't until I seen them on the internet when I was doing some looking. And
but it kind of feels not weird, but different having something you've never heard of up on top with the other ones that are higher name brand.
Yeah.
Well, exactly, and that's what part of this whole test was about, taking everything we could get available and putting it on the table and saying, okay, let the cream rise to the top. Now, if you're looking for something that's basically indestructible, you're looking for probably a G5. If you're looking for something for penetration and impact, you're looking at American Broadhead. If you're looking at something that is comparable but not quite as good as those two, but more economical, that will stand up and do the job, I'd say the Fathead from Steel Force. Those are the three. Now, let's back up a second. That's so far. We're not done with the test, okay? We're still not done with our testing. We've got to do a chronograph test. I want to see how much speed we're losing, if any, by putting these on these broadheads on after you shoot them with a field tip. Okay, so I want to do that. Now, I also want to check tolerances on these. We're going to take a micrometer. We're going to measure lengths on them, and I want to measure blade thickness. Let's see if they're relatively the same, okay, because that all gets into balance. If you've got two blades on an arrowhead that's thicker than a third,
it's going to make it fly different.
It's not going to be symmetrical flying, you know what I'm saying, because of the weight. So there's some things that can still come into play here that can make or break a broadhead. So we're looking at those things. We're also going to do this, what we call the water jug test. That is going to determine how effective or how much damage these broadheads do. What we're going to do is we're going to fill a milk jug up for each broadhead, and we're going to attempt to hit them in the same exact place on each jug, and we're going to see how fast the jugs drop the water, okay, to that hole. Once that happens, whoever drops the fastest, in our mind, will be the one that does the most damage. The bigger the hole, the faster the water is going to drop. I mean, that just stands to reason. So that's what we're going to do with that, okay? So we still got a couple things that we want to do with these, and we're still playing around with some stuff. So by all means, our test is not done, but at this point, those are the three leaders that we see so far. And that was pretty much agreed upon by everybody there that day. It's not my opinion. It's not just your opinion. It's everybody that was there shooting. We had the guy, the national sales rep from American Broadhead was there. And I will say that right up front. He brought his stuff in to shoot. But you know what? He put his money where his mouth was. He talked a good game and said his broadheads were good. You know what? They were. Everybody was impressed with them. We extended the same opportunity to G5 because they got local reps in the area. And for whatever reason, they couldn't make that obligation to be out and shoot with us, unfortunately. But they stood up and provided product, and they did well also. So.
Gabe even stepped up and started talking about his Turkey Terror ones, and we put them to the test too.
That's right. Jumping completely out of the broadhead subject for just a second, you brought that up because I don't want to forget. The guy from American Broadhead, Dave Plaucha, he had what they call the Turkey Terror. It's a broadhead, but it's for turkeys. And he's like, I want to see what this is going to do on deer bone, because he had a guy who complained once about the broadhead supposedly bouncing off the feathers of a turkey. He's like, no way. He said, he lined up and he smacked that shoulder blade and cut it right in half, where he hit it. So whatever the guy was talking about, he said there was some issues there that on the video that the guy shot, that the guy missed the bird. It wasn't that the arrow didn't hit the bird and bounced off. So, yeah, so we shot a turkey blade through it too.
Yeah. And actually them cuts were really clean after
they were
on the other side or something.
Yeah. Now we also had the guy from Eastman Outdoors there. We had a representative there that talked a lot about arrows and splining and how to set that up and make sure you're shooting the right type of arrow. But he shot with us. So, we had another guy from the industry who was there observing and give his opinions on it, on the way the setup was and everything that we did. And, I'm not saying we're professionals by any means or any stretch of the imagination, but I think we come across with a good test, and we come across with a fair test, and it was unbiased.
It was fun.
And more importantly, we had a ball. That's the one thing I can say about it, is it was a lot of fun. Now, I know we give you a lot of numbers, and we give you a lot of different names. What we're going to do when we get all done with this is we're going to take all of our information, and we're going to put it in like a column form, and we're going to put it on our weblog. So that way it's easy to cross-reference and check maybe your favorite broadhead or maybe one that you're looking to buy. And that way you can look at the numbers that we came up with, And by all means, if you got something you want to ask about how we did it or what technique we used, or maybe we missed a broadhead that you want us to test, and if we can get access to one, we'll test it. If you're interested in that, any information you want to know about the whole thing we did. So, like I said, we're not professional, but we tried to be unbiased. We tried our best to make it fair, and more importantly, have a lot of fun. So I know I was wore out, man. That was a long day. We spent 8 hours at the range and shot a lot of video too. We got video of all this, and that's the part I can't wait, is to build the video on this. We got some up close side views of all the ballistic gel hits, and I haven't looked at it yet, but I think that's going to be pretty eye opening also.
Yeah.
And one other thing that we did that I tried it was just a little experiment that I tried, is putting a microphone downrange by the ballistics gel and putting one uprange by the shooter, and rolling on the two cameras, listening for that uprange and downrange noise of what the bows that these guys were shooting was making. I've heard a lot of, not a lot, well, I don't say I heard a lot, but I've heard something here recently talking about downrange noise in one of our Michigan magazines here.
They did
a test
adult bow review.
And they were talking about downrange noise versus uprange noise. And it was very interesting and eye-opening. So we kind of played around with that a little bit, too, and we're going to see if that turned out and see if we found anything out in that
I might
side.
Talk about that test next week, how they set that up.
Okay, might do that in game bag or something for you next week. Yeah, that'd be good. So other than that was our day, or our week, I should say, or weekend. It's been fun. It's been a lot to talk about, a lot to do, a lot of planning, a lot of worrying, hoping it would all come off well, and I think it did. Everybody had fun. Everybody was pleased with the test. Everybody that was there thought it was fair, and that's the thing I really wanted to make sure is it was fair and an equal and level playing field for everybody.
This is one of our first tests, and it's made me motivated to start doing some mini tests on stuff that I like to use.
Yeah, I'm sure we're going to be getting into some more of this stuff, and you're probably going to have me building something for testing. Who knows what? Between you and Kevin, you'll come up with something, I'm sure. The two master chefs, yeah. Sorry about that, Jake. I had to turn Jake's mic off. I got a little bit of hum in the audio there, so Jake's off mic right now. So, but I had a lot of fun. Now, speaking of upcoming events and things, Tuesday we're going to have a meeting with some reps from Bowtech, and I don't know where that's going to lead, but maybe we'll have some exciting news to talk about coming back next week's show. There's some issues that Michael wants to get clarified on his bow, and some things taken care of. So maybe we can bring you guys some tips, some techniques, or things of ways to cure certain things that are happening with your bows. And we're going to talk to their tech or their sales rep. Hopefully something will come good out of that meeting. Speaking of things coming up, we got the Jake's event coming up August 2nd. That's going to be at Williams Gun Sight in Davison, Michigan. For you guys who live here locally in Michigan, you got youngsters, or if you know somebody that's got youngsters, make sure you take them over to the event. Michael, you're going to be working on that.
Yeah, come visit my table if you're going to be there.
He'll tie you a couple flies for some fish, and it's going to be a good time.
I can't tie fish.
A couple ties for fish.
Flies.
Tie you a couple flies for fish. Okay. I got tongue-tied. But, yeah, he's going to tie some flies. And I don't know what I'm going to be doing yet. I'm just going to show up, and wherever they put me, they put me. But that's a good event for kids. It's free. Let me make that clear. It's free. Bring the kids out. Let them have some fun out in the outdoors. Learn some stuff. Run around. Burn some energy off. And this Thursday, if you live in the mid-Michigan area, go to our website. On the front page is the directions and the time and the place for the Delta Waterfowl meeting that one of our pro staffers, Chuck Parr, is holding.
It's coming up this week, isn't it?
Yeah, this Thursday, the 17th, at 7 o'clock in Holly. So if you guys are interested in that, anybody that's interested in helping start a Delta Waterfowl chapter here in the Tri-County area, go on over. I know you're going to be there, pointing to yourself. But go over and check that out. So that's about all I got this week. It's been fun. It's been exciting. And, hey, we got to see a big piebald or albino buck out back tonight.
I mean, that was cool.
That made my whole weekend right there. That was the coolest thing I think I've seen all year. That was really cool. So
the piebald was pretty cool too, though.
The piebald was cool, but that albino buck was better. I think that was pretty cool. But you got anything else you want to throw in? No, you're tired, aren't you?
Yeah,
that's what I thought.
Jake playing on his microphone.
Yeah, well, Jake's tired too, but you had a good weekend too, didn't you? Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, listen, everybody, that's going to do it for another exciting episode of the Up North Journal. We got much more to come. Like I said, the guy from Bowtech's coming in. I'm going to interview him this week, so we've been putting our interviews up on YouTube on our television channel, which you can access through our website. If you're thinking about buying a youth bow, go look at those interviews. We're talking with the actual company reps. We talked with Paul Penix from PSE. We got four different bow interviews there. We've got Matt Marsh that we just did today that had the Parker, and now we're going to do Bowtech this week and talk about their line, and we'll have those up there too. So go over and start checking out those videos by all means, especially if you're buying a youth bow. So with that being said, I think that's going to do it this week for us here at the Up North Journal. And as always, if you're out on the water or out in the woods, shoot straight and be safe. Until next week on the Up North Journal.